From Creamer Media in Johannesburg, this is the Real Economy Report. Our top stories this week. We talk to the CEO of South Africa's satellite manufacturing company. We look at gas giant Afrox's new facility in Germiston. And Airbus gives its air traffic market forecast for the next 20 years. South Africa's Sumbandila microsatellite, which is now operational, was designed and built in Stellenbosch. Keith Campbell reports.
Sumbandila is a product of Sunspace and Information Systems, or Sunspace for short. Now that the satellite's commissioning process is over, what is next for the company? I put this question to Sunspace CEO Bart Cilliers.
Well, the one thing that we're obviously very excited about is the decision by Cabinet for government to take a stake in Sunspace. At the end of the day, satellites are sold to other governments, and as such it's always geopolitically sensitive. So we are in the privileged position in South Africa that the South African government really enjoys very good friendships and open doors with most countries in the world, but particularly a lot of countries in the Southern Hemisphere. And there's currently quite a strong desire for the Southern Hemisphere countries to shake off the sort of technological dominance of the northern countries that they've held for quite a long time. And so there's quite a few strategic partnerships that we're looking at internationally, which we can only get access to through strong support by the South African government. So the fact that South African government becomes a partner with Sunspace means that we can now sit together around the table and plan these things as South Africa Inc., which I think is what the rest of the world has been doing for quite a while anyway. And secondly, it also provides the long-term stability that governments need in buying such strategic assets from private companies.
Gas and welding company Afrox's new commercial production plant in Germiston will contribute to its plans to expand into Africa. Lindsay Berry reports.
Afrox's new R100 million plant is aimed at producing specialty gases to high-precision standards and at an increased capacity. The facility is focused around a new brand, HiQ, which was developed in partnership with Afrox's parent company, the Linde Group. The plant will contribute to a security of supply and consistent standards of gas production for multinational clients, and will be particularly beneficial for expanding into the African market. Afrox Specialty Gases business manager Robert Carlton-Shields explains.
Africa is a huge opportunity for Afrox. We see it as a large growth area for us in special products and chemicals. With the benefits of the new facility that we've got at the moment in terms of our analytical capabilities and the increased volume that we can move through the facility, we're well positioned to take our product through into Africa now and effectively target the American and multinationals that operate within those areas, because we're better positioned to meet their critical criteria and their analytical tolerances. So for us it's a huge focus area, and we look forward to growing into that market space.
We realised the growth that was happening in the industry, both on the research side of it, environmental emission side of it, the automotive sectors. So they were all requiring larger growth, larger volume, so that we needed to put that in place to support our customers. We also had a situation where we needed to improve our analytical capabilities to tighten the tolerances, so that as these new research areas and opportunities developed, we were properly geared to support the sectors and our customers within the business range.
The specialty gases plant is part of Afrox's R1.5 billion capital expenditure program. The plant was commissioned during the second half of last year and, after final tweaking in January and February, is now operating commercially.
European airliner manufacturer Airbus has unveiled its global market forecast for the next 20 years. Keith Campbell has the story.
Worldwide, Airbus foresees a demand for 25,000 new passenger and freighter aircraft worth some $3.1 trillion between 2009 and 2028. Of these, more than 1,700 will be very large aircraft, or VLAs, like the company's A380 Super Jumbo. Passenger air traffic is expected to grow at a rate of 4.7% a year, meaning it will double in the next 15 years. But what does the forecast say about South Africa and Africa? Andrew Gordon is Airbus's Director, Market Analysis.
Well, South Africa is an incredibly important country within Africa. We actually look at South Africa independently of the rest of the continent because of that, so we do our own traffic forecast for South Africa. And the traffic that we're forecasting is much higher for this country than for the rest of the world, and even for Africa as a whole. So very high traffic growth rates in Africa. And as a result, we see a demand for around 170 aircraft in the market in South Africa over the next 20 years. And that's about 18% of the total demand in Africa as a whole. Africa as a whole will need around 930 aircraft. So again, an important market, a significant number of airplanes, with South Africa being an important component of that demand. Worldwide, the most significant numbers of deliveries will go to single-aisle airplanes, and that will be the same in South Africa as the rest of the world. And there'll be a number of twin-aisle aircraft, but also interestingly, a number of VLA aircraft, like the 380, will be needed in the aircraft, needed in the market itself, primarily to service the need between the big population centres in South Africa and the rest of the world.
And now for a sneak preview of this week's Engineering News magazine. As the new KwaZulu-Natal airport gets set for takeoff, some proponents and opponents are still at odds over whether it will truly offer any growth stimulus. We report that by 2055, the Gauteng province will reduce its overall energy consumption by 18% and its carbon emissions by 49% in relation to 2007 levels. And the Department of Energy and the Department of Trade and Industry believe that the solar water heater market is set to grow rapidly in South Africa. And in Mining Weekly this week, in our cover story, we report that South Africa's Sasol is taking steps to join the global search for shale gas. The mining division of the JSE-listed Basil Reed Construction Group may be hived off into a separately listed entity. And we report that Zimbabwe has granted small-scale chrome miners an 18-month period during which they can market the mineral directly without being bound by the ban imposed by government on raw chrome exports. That's Creamer Media's Real Economy Report. Join us again next week for more news and insights into South Africa's real economy.
Engineering news, not just for engineers.